Hello, good afternoon, welcome to Toffee TV's The Everton Daily Live. It's Monday, the 7th of July. Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
Name popped up over the weekend. It's popped up again today. Linked with Juventus letting him go, basically. Everton have been linked with him. A couple of other clubs as well, of course. But this is one I would absolutely bite your hand off for. I think he's excellent. I think he'd be exactly what Everton are missing, I think, in midfield. I think he's someone who puts his foot on the ball. Just look at his last season at Villa. 53 games, got 10 goals and 10 assists, which is not something he's sort of renowned for. But going off to Juventus and involved in 26 games last season, but only 800 minutes. So it's not many, just hasn't really worked. Me and James are saying you probably get Alicia Lehman in the deal as well for the women's team, because they seem to go everywhere in a pair. But good player. I don't know whether Everton would get him if it's real or not, but they're the links. I mean, I'd welcome it. What are your thoughts on him?
I don't want him.
You don't want him?
No.
Okay.
We've got far too many good players at our club to bring in Douglas Luiz.
Feels like it, but
he'd be blocking the pathway of somebody. No, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? If he's available, then Everton should be after him. His last season in the Premier League, he done really, really well, and looked to have evolved into a slightly different player. So, if he is available, Everton should be in the market for him, and that's sort of like the crux of the whole thing, isn't it? It's like Everton should be in the market for a lot of these players, and need to start getting in the market for a lot of these players when they come available. Is Everton have to be part of that group of players? And if they choose to go somewhere else, so be it. But Everton have to start being after these players, and I think someone like him. I know we're all there's everyone wants the uncut gems, the players that no one's ever heard of unless you play Football Manager and all that kind of thing. But there are players out there that have been around, that have had previous in the Premier League, that are available, that maybe just didn't settle somewhere. We can, none of us would look at a player who's gone to Juventus who's done well in the Premier League and think, oh well, he mustn't be good enough, because we know the Premier League is much better than Serie A, and it just might be political reasons. It might be fitting into a team, coming into a team, and not establishing yourself straight away. Because actually, some players need the high level of the Premier League, the hustle and bustle of the Premier League, rather than when you get to it like a Serie A, but it's slightly slowed down. So I think he'd be perfect for us if we could get him off. There'd be a queue of players, clubs, want them, but we've got to be in the mix for someone like him. And I said, I'd be all over it, because it's definitely an area of the pitch where we need to improve, and we don't have that player necessarily who can put his foot on the ball and pick his head up and start picking the passes, but also the other side of that, the defensive work as well. So it'd be one we should go for, and if it was one that could be done quickly, because this is the other thing you see, Italian teams, they'll deal quickly if they want to play it out. They just brought Jonathan David in, haven't they? Juventus are a team who, or a lot of Italian clubs are a team who, I think it's almost like if a player doesn't settle quickly, they don't settle at all, and it's like you're done. I mean, I think for the player as well, it's probably a good thing as well. It's like, I'm better to just move on now. So let's hope we're in for a player like that. I'd love Everton to be in for a player like that, because it can't, as I said, you can't always just be looking around. You need these players who've got that experience, and I think, what is he, 27? I think that's a perfect age. I think he's got the perfect experience to come into a club like Everton.
Gavin Cunningham don't agree. Says Douglas Luiz looked poor at the end of his Villa time. He's no better than what we've got now.
No, I think that's absolute nonsense.
Yeah, 10 goals and 10 assists. That's not poor, mate. In midfield, I think he's very good.
Who have we got in midfield?
He said Harrison Armstrong needs to play,
but he's not going to play. Again, don't do this thing again Don't do this thing where we go, oh, we've got this young player, he's all right. Come on. You need a squad. You need 20 odd players in that squad. You need people who can rotate. You need players who can come in, players drop out of form, players get injured. Got to start thinking bigger. And that requires good players, international caliber players to come into our squad. We are never going to compete with a mindset like that. James Garner, in my opinion, isn't good enough to take Everton to where we want to go. Drissa Garner-Gay, we want him all signed, but what's he got? 2 years at the very top. We need better players. Tino Bunham, I don't think he's at that level yet. I really don't. I think he needs game time and he needs a bit more of experience, and he just needs to get a little bit more street smart when he's on the pitch. I think someone coming in, a 27-year-old who's been in the Premier League, who's had 2 or 3 seasons in the Premier League, that's exactly what we need to bridge the gap of certain players. And I just think, who are we going to buy? Are we saying our midfield's fine? Is that what we're saying? No, we need players. We need players.
Yeah. Just a few people going on about Tierno Barry, but the lad's away on holiday.
Yeah.
Being in Miami. Don't even think it's a week. I think he went there Tuesday last week. So he was at the Euros, which means he was getting a couple of weeks break. I don't know where Everton are at with it. I know it's all looking very positive, I believe. I don't know why the deal hasn't been done, but these things take time, and this is the problem. We keep saying it. People release stuff in the press, and then it takes a while to get the deal done.
Yeah.
Then it feels like it's dragging on and on. It does feel like it's dragging on, this one. It does. But if the deal isn't done, if the teams haven't agreed the deal or the contracts aren't signed, then they can't announce it.
He's on holiday.
And that's the way it is, isn't it?
Played in the Euros and then he went on holiday.
I think people might want a deal's agreed and he'll have his medical when he's back or something. But I don't know whether teams do that anymore and say it when it's like that. You know what I mean? I have no idea. You can only go by what you're hearing, and by what you're hearing is journalists in France and Spain think it's very, very close, as in it's practically done, and that's all you can go by. So Fabrizio Romano can tweet all he wants. It's done or whatever. Well, it isn't done until it's been announced by Everton. Is it? So we'll have to just. It might be frustrating for everyone. It is. It's frustrating for all of us because we want to see things happening and progressing, don't we? And that'll calm everyone down once we see things progressing. But right now, nothing is done. Michael Keane's done.
Yeah.
Idrissa Gana-Gueye, by the sounds of it, is imminently being announced, but he's on holiday because he played an extra.
Yeah, he was in the Africa.
He was in the. They played against Senegal and played against England, didn't he? And they had another game.
Ireland, wasn't it?
Jordan Pickford's still away, I think, because he was playing for England. So if Everton have agreed everything with Idrissa, brilliant, but you're not back. So whether Everton will just announce that anyway and say it's all agreed, he's signed a new deal. I know we can do it on DocuSign on your iPhone, just send it back over.
Do that, yeah.
Or they might just wait till he's back in the building. I don't know when that is, maybe the end of the week. We'll have to wait and see, but that's where we are, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's what, the second week in July? It's still.
Are you surprised that there isn't a new signing in yet, though? Because there isn't. There's no. We've got Charlie, which was done in May, and obviously we've renewed Michael Keane. Looks like it's a Gana-Gueye, and obviously Jarrod Branthwaite signed a new deal as well. And obviously Seamus. No, you're not.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm not surprised that there isn't any.
Are you disappointed then that there's nobody in? If you're not surprised,
I mean, that's that you could say that at anything, though, couldn't you? You could say, I'm disappointed. Well, yeah, because of course everyone would be disappointed that Everton haven't made 5, 6, 7 signings. Almost people could say on the 1st of July that should have opened the floodgates and people come in, but I don't think it's going to be like that. It certainly hasn't been like that. I think Everton are looking round and yeah, I do without being worried, I do think Everton need to be a little bit quicker in how they deal with things. But like we said, it's because it's the first summer and not every piece of the puzzle was in place in the back, the backroom staff sort of thing, or the people who buy and still aren't. Then maybe things weren't all set in stone and weren't all there. And I'm trying to look at it logically and look at the whole picture and not make any kind of judgment till that window is shut.
Yeah.
I'm going to, of course, there'll be moments when you're frustrated. Of course, we all wanted the Disagana Gay done earlier. We all want Tino Barry to be just announced as an Everton player, holiday or no holiday.
Yeah.
We want, I don't know if I ever need Everton to be linked with anybody else, because I really would like to just wake up and it be Everton are about to sign this player, Everton about to sign that player. But I do understand the frustration, by the way. I do completely understand the frustration of people who are a little bit worried when they see the squad size and see that. I think we play a week tomorrow. Is it a week tomorrow we play?
Week tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ashington, yeah.
And you look at the players we've got, and there'll be a lot of younger players going on that trip by the looks of it. So, yeah, I can understand frustration. I can understand worry, but we want to get the right players in. We want to make sure we get the value right, and that might take a little bit of time. If it does, and we get the right players in, that's fine. If we don't, then we can have the inquest afterwards. We can't affect it, can we? Doesn't mean people aren't allowed their opinions, of course. People, of course, are allowed their opinions, but we can't affect anything.
No.
We just have to see what happens and then base our opinions on what happens. And if we believe afterwards that we think they haven't done a good enough job, then that's when...
Well, you can ask the question then, can't you? We keep saying it. We haven't got any evidence so far, have we, on how the Friedkin group work, or how the Friedkin group owned Everton work with the new recruitment team. We don't have any evidence for that, and we can't, and we won't until the window's shut. So all we can believe is that things are going to be better, and that they're working on players right now. And how will that all play out? And if that all plays out, we get to September and everyone's happy with the business we've done, it'll be fantastic. If we get to September and we're short, we haven't got a right winger in and that, and we say, how's this happened again? We can ask questions then and all that. But right now it is patience is going to be needed. But you do sort of want the ball rolling. I think you want that. It's great that Jared Brantwaite signed a new deal. It is. It's great that, for different reasons, that Seamus is staying on. And he is. By all accounts, he's staying. So that's really good. But we want to see some fresh blood coming in. Of
course we do.
And once that does that, we'll be doing it. It's going to happen. We need 8 or 9 players. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's just when it happens, and I think if that starts, if we can get that ball rolling, I think people will be, right, we're up and running now. I still think people are looking, going, hang on, we've got 14 players or something. How was nobody coming in that's been open a week? How? Well, it's been open longer than a week, but we knew that we had to get past the 30th of June before we started. Why haven't we started? I think that's why people are a little bit worried and frustrated that it isn't happening quick enough for us in the summer when we need it to happen.
I just don't think that we were ever going to have players lined up. I think that takes 2 or 3
months worth away.
Not only windows of planning. I think knowing what's going on ahead here, I think, is a luxury we just haven't been able to have yet. And maybe, well, not maybe, but once this window's closed, then Everton needs to start planning 2 or 3 windows ahead now, and start getting that ahead of us. And that requires players, but they'll know. At the end of the day, Everton don't kick a ball in the Premier League till halfway through August, and we're not halfway through July.
Yeah.
And as I said, it'll be once that window's closed, then we can have a good look at it. But you know, if you start, it ain't going to make things go any quicker. It's just not. It's not going to make things go any quicker. Fans moaning, and also if fans feel like we've missed out on players, because I don't feel like we've missed out on anyone. Okay, Tete's decided to stay at Fulham. I never, ever, ever in any life thought we were getting Liam Delap, ever. And who else is there? The people, Kyle Walker was just like, maybe Everton Kyle Walker might have been offered to Everton. And he's gone to Burnley on a 2-year deal. Everton obviously might have gone, yeah, no thanks, or...
It's like 5 million for him, haven't he? Yeah. We were clearly not paying for him.
No, we were not going to pay for him. We were going to take him on loan, but they've paid for him. So, Everton obviously still... You know, hopefully, I mean, let's be honest, hopefully it's not a case of we're still looking round. I mean, hopefully we know who we want, and it's about trying to get the deals done. And that's tough. Everyone's trying to buy players. Everyone's trying to improve. That's the thing with the Premier League. It never stands still. You have to keep on buying. This idea of, oh, our midfield's fine. That's just the biggest load of bollocks ever. Like, it's not fine in the first place. But
I don't think people are saying that.
Everyone else is going to improve, though. You know, it's like every position's like that. You always got to be looking at improving and making your team better, always.
Well, Everton have actually signed someone today. Ala Thomas has signed his first professional deal, the defender, for his pen through paper on a 2-year deal. So he's done well, hasn't he? He's been doing well of late.
I thought you were going to say the Japanese international. That's
well,
Everton women.
Everton women are very, very prolific with their
smashing it,
getting all sorts in.
But they don't have to pay for players,
as are Roma. But yeah, no, it's frustrating because it isn't happening quick enough. But I'm sure lots of work is going on behind the scenes. Did you find it interesting that in the Echo, Joe Thomas had done a bit talking about Michael Keane signing, but saying Everton had agreed a deal for a centre back with another club before before basically Moyes intervened and said give Keane.
Yeah. Do you think that was Webster?
That's what James said, which I find interesting if we've already got down that road of agreeing a deal. So I'm wondering, did Moyes speak to him? And Webster was like, yeah, you're all right. And Moyes was like, you ain't coming here, mate. I'd rather have Michael Keane. So I just found it interesting that they had agreed, that lined up and then went back.
Yeah.
So another player Everton have been linked to today is Kubo. We were linked with him at the end of May. And then it went very quiet. And then it's back again today. Obviously, Japanese winger at Real Sociedad, that was at Real Madrid at for a time, but didn't play for them. Good player.
Yeah.
Let's think about that. I mean, at the moment, it is just a link. It's just a link, but...
Yeah. Nice to be linked with a right midfielder or a right winger, wasn't it? Or is nice to be linked with a right midfielder.
24, good age.
Yeah. Well, are we talking 30 million?
Something, yeah. 30 million euros, they said. But.
So I suppose it fits the parameters. What's his goal return? It's not amazing. It's not amazing, is it? So it's interesting, man.
He's a good player, though.
Yeah. Japanese players are incredibly hard working.
Yeah, hard working. Does create goals. I think he's created. I think he's got like 23 assists in the last couple of seasons or 3 seasons, which is about 8 a season. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I don't think the goals.
Yeah.
I think he might have 8.
Goal involvement is what you want, isn't it?
But that's it. So he is a bright player. Don't get me wrong. I think there's others out there as well, of course, but he is a good player. We also link with, again, Ivanovic at Millwall, young striker.
Lad, yeah.
He's a good he's a handful. Again, he's a bit of a work in progress, but he's a powerful striker.
Yeah.
And that'd be if Everton, and I do believe Everton need 2 strikers this summer. If Everton went down that route, though, if they are getting Tierno Barry and they are getting Ivanovic, then, because Beto again over the weekend was linked with going from Everton. I don't see that. But if Everton did get Tierno Barry and Ivanovic from Millwall, then that would suggest, and obviously Chimiti's gonna go out on loan. Then I just wonder if we're basically working towards Beto's exit next summer, and then having 3 young, powerful strikers at Moyes' disposal.
Maybe. I mean, the only problem is, Beto, what would he have left? A year?
A year.
Yeah, that makes it problematic, though, doesn't it? Because of what we would get in return for him with only a year left.
I think it covers.
Yeah, I just mean in in general, though. You know, you're getting lads getting down to a year. This is the summer, really. 2 years to go. You'd have to be offering someone a new contract, but maybe they're just not ready to offer him a new contract yet. Anyway, just with everything going on, maybe they're just undecided on him. So yeah, I could see that happening.
It'd be risky, wouldn't it, to let Beto go? They got Barry in and say they got Ivanovic in, letting the only lad who's basically putting the ball in the net.
The flip side of that, though, is you've got a year to make it your own, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I think if you keep him, reassess in January. So to him, he could go in and be brilliant again, which I think if he creates chances, he'll score goals. I suppose
the problem is next summer, what would he be, 28 next summer? 29 the following summer. Do you offer him a new contract at 28? You know, and what kind of contract? And what kind of contract that look like. So I think it's obviously smart to keep your options open, but if these players are good enough and they take Beto's position off him, then no one's going to care either way, are they? No one's going to care either way.
No, that's not true, isn't it? But he is powerful, like Ivanovic. We'll see whether or not Everton make any play for him, but we've been heavily linked with him. Benjamin Fairclough says if we do get Douglas Luiz, does that mean Alicia Lehmann will come? Like how they both went to Juve?
I'd imagine so.
And Ian pointed out she's already played for Everton, hasn't she? For the loan spell, she at West Ham.
She was at West Ham,
come on loan, didn't she?
She went to Villa, I don't think.
Yeah. Gary Borders, Hardy. Bappy says, afternoon, gents, got my ticket for my third visit to the new ground. Hopefully you'll see 5 or 6 new signings on show, and hopefully Totti will be playing in the Legends game.
That'd be nice.
Up the Toffees, yes, for Luiz. The price won't be too high. Lots of reports linking Kubo as well, who is a better version of Matoma. I don't think that's true, Bappy. I'll be honest. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, Matoma's brilliant.
He is good, Kubo, but I don't think he's better than Matoma. Alex says hello. Paul T says, stupidly, I really thought we would have had a few players through the door by now. Do you know if anything is imminent? No, only what's been reported. I mean, if there's a couple of reports saying imminent, aren't they? But Tierno Barry was imminent last week, and it's not happened. So,
yeah.
Jake says, all right, lads, I'm happy with the likes of Grealish and Kubo, but it doesn't address the issue for me of that rapid pace, which we desperately need. I know.
No.
It is mad. It is mad. And Jake says Alicia Lehmann knows the club, so it makes sense to bring them.
She does know the club. She does.
Adam M says, how many are you predicting come in this week? Not including Barry. I'm going with 0. You may well be right, Adam, but who knows? It's hard to say, isn't it? Because there's no real information anywhere. Everyone's guessing.
Yeah.
And that's right. This is how Moyes operates, and for one, I'm absolutely delighted that Everton are operating in this manner. If they're getting right down the road with these signings before it comes out. So this is what Moyes is good at, closing the leaks, and let's hope he carries on, and then people don't get anything until it's done, because that does calm everybody down. So we just don't know. No. We don't know. There could be Everton could just announce something out the blue, which would be tremendous. I think it's really difficult because there might be a couple of deals hanging on a certain payment or a certain agreement with a player or a club, And when it looks like it's not happening, then the next minute you agree to pay it, the player, it's done. So it really is difficult to say. Let's say one. Let's be confident, positive, and say one.
Do Everton... I think we said this last week. Do Everton make a, like, you know, try and speed up the Tiano Barry one? Understand I'm not saying there's not a frustration out there, but do Everton go, do you know what? Look better if we had one in. Let's get this. Let's get this over the. You know, and what I mean by that is, I don't mean like go to Miami and sign him. If he's on holiday, just get all the paperwork in place and come out and say we're signing him pending a medical or something like that. I'm not saying they should do that, by the way. I'm just saying, do they do that in terms of like understanding that the fan base just needs a little bit of some news. You know, it's great. Like we said last week, sometimes it's like with the Brantwaite deal, it just buys you a couple of days. So if they sign, if Gisagana Gay's announced tomorrow, that buys you a couple of days.
Well, a day or so.
Yeah, exactly. But I
think a signing of a new player.
Sign of a new player. That's what I'm saying. That gives you that, and they probably thought they would have had that maybe in Tete. It buys you a little bit of time, and that's what I'm saying. If you get to a point, listen, I have no idea how talks work. I've got no idea what happens when a player goes on holiday and you're halfway through the agent must still continue to talk to the football club. He's their agent. He's doing the business on their half. If a player's on holiday and it just needs something to sign, like you've just said, can't the player just sign the form and then the formalities are all done and all you need then is all the pictures before it's announced?
Just UPS them a
kit.
Everton kit. Just go
next to a pool. Send Jags.
Send Jags. Over there.
Send Jags.
With the kit.
Jags at tan. Jags can go play golf.
Jags puts the kit he put on in 2013.
And everyone looks at Jags and recreate the picture.
Go like that with him.
And then just put him still. And then Tiano Barry just walks in from the side. Right. And you thought it was just the old picture.
Yeah.
Because Jags still looks boss.
Just like that. Looking boss.
Recreate the picture. He's in Miami. That's where Everton were.
Jags isn't in Miami.
Just send Jags.
Just go back. There's golf courses there.
That's what I just said. Send Jags, recreate the kit.
Do it. I like it. That's for
this is the kind of thinking. This is the kind of thinking that our football club needs, and I have in spades.
Because Everton are playing a tournament in America.
You could put a picture.
Like they were in 2013.
You could put a picture saying, remember the last time Everton were in Miami and there's Jags in the kit standing there. And Tiano Barry just walks on from the side and goes, nice to meet you. And then holds up the new shirt.
On this day.
Oh my God.
Even though it isn't on this day. But people will just go, oh yeah, on this day, 12
And there's absolutely no need for Everton to be talking about Miami.
Brilliant, do we?
Confuse that. Everybody. Everyone would just be like, what? Be amazing.
Mendoza, the Maple Leaf Toffee, says Luiz would be awesome. Walks into our first 11, improves us significantly. But would you go up to 150 to 180k a week to get him over the line? I don't know whether he'll be able to demand that though.
Don't know if he's got the facilities.
No, big man.
Would you be willing to pay that kind of money this summer for a player?
He'd have to be really good, like really top level. Yeah. Would that
sets a dangerous precedent though, doesn't it, in the first summer if you were to pay someone that kind of money? But then someone might come in and go, everyone's after me, or you're exactly what I need, and I know what you're paying Gisagana Gay. I know exactly what you're paying, and it's £150,000 a week. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it's 150.
If it was,
it's £150,000 a week.
Well, you'd have to, wouldn't you? Yeah. Again, I've said I've no problem with Everton paying some of these players that kind of money, but because they're getting it elsewhere, other players. But for Everton can't be paying players who aren't producing that kind of money, and that's been the problem in the past. That's why. Ian the Blue says, I'd take him all day long. He's head and shoulders above what we've got. Had some fitness issues though. What's your thoughts on Dylan Bachwa from Strasbourg? French winger, 22, 6 goals, 8 assists. Bachwa's decent, yeah. He's another one. Strasbourg have got unbelievable talent, because that was what their MO is, to have all the players under 23 and all the top talents, and they've obviously got
France
that support
France
from
is a
Chelsea.
fantastic breeding ground, because at the end of the day, most teams in Ligue 1 are secure, and they can bring in players, and they don't have money. They don't even have a TV deal. Well, they didn't have a TV deal. So most of their players do come through their ranks or come through the areas. France, obviously, a massive country. It's not, football isn't necessarily their number one sport either. You know, there's an argument that like rugby union might be looked on as, no, in the major cities, of course, but there's not too many major cities in France. And it's just massive amounts of talent. You know, Paris, Marseille, Lyon. There's just, you know, and then there's just massive amounts of talent. Obviously, they've got the African pipeline as well. So they've got just so much talent. And as I said, you can put players in the teams and let them grow, and don't ever have to worry too much. In fact, a lot of the time it's the other way, isn't it? You've got a chance to get in Europe. You've got a chance to break. You know, you're not going to break Paris's dominance at the top, but you've got an opportunity. We've seen Lille win the league in the last like 3 years, haven't we? We've seen other teams, you know, get Lens and you know, obviously Lyon obviously had their troubles, but you know, it's there's so much talent, and has been for a while in France, that, you know, Everton should be looking at there, because you can just buy like just really dominating players from there for not too much money. And that's why it's, you know, having a feeder club there would be...
Yeah, it'd be great. Artificial Intelligence, AFC, says, get Douglas Luiz ASAP. We desperately need a midfielder like him. We need at least 2 fullbacks, 2 right wingers and a goalkeeper as well. I assume we've bought Tierno Barry. Hopefully. Gary Cross says, g'day, and then says, would be a great statement. Instantly improves our midfield. Big Douglas. Dan W says, bring me Kubo, Grealish and Luiz all day long. They moonwalk into our starting 11. And Mendoza says, with João Pedro and Gittins now at Chelsea, and probably Omega at some point, how long until Liam Delap sacks his advisors?
I'd say, again though, right, I just don't think we think like footballers do. I pretty much think most footballers would have took the choice Liam Delap took. I really do, because that's how most footballers think. They've got egos because they need egos. You walk in a dressing room, you've been fighting for your position since you were 13 years old. Every year in an academy, you're fighting every other player. They're not teams. You're fighting to get to the next level, like a bloody computer game. And then someone offers you 4 or 5 teams when you're 21, 22. One of them's a team that's in the Champions League that will have sweet-talked the life out of you. And what I would say about
giving you the big
Liam Delap is as well, I don't think any of these other signings are like Liam Delap. I really don't. He's a back-to-goal striker. He's very much a one-off at Chelsea. Now, if they don't choose to play like that, then he's got a problem. But the manager will have sweet-talked him. The club will have sweet-talked him. The wages will be ridiculous. This notion that footballers are going to go, you know what? Nah, Everton, I'll get a game every week. Yeah, but for what reason?
Some do, though.
Very few do, Baz. Come on.
Well, he said he considered that.
Of course he considered it, because that's respectful to say that. That's a respectful point of view. But I think most footballers, certainly in this country, are going to go, what are my ambitions? My ambitions are, I want to play in the Champions League. And then they're going to say, am I ready? And most of them are going to, because they have people around them, they have agents, they have teams around them, who are going to go, you are ready. You are ready for this. You're ready. You were ready when you were at Man City, but you're ready now. They're like, imagine being a footballer, you're like 22, 23. Everyone's telling you the sunshine comes out your arse. And a club who in the Champions League walks over and goes, yeah, mate, look at this contract. Why else would... Because it's fine going. If I was the kid who's just signed for Chelsea, I'd be looking at like the wide positions going, the fuck am I doing? But he'll have had assurances. They will have all had assurances. And the assurance is, if you're better than the other players, you'll get in. And then what that does, and this is like the thing our football club hasn't had forever, is this idea of 2 players who are brilliant, fight it out for one position, and every training every session in training, they're fighting with each other to get that position. So when Saturday comes, the one who's got it is like, I've got it and I've got to hold on to it because the other fella is going to take it off me. Imagine having 3 of them. And that's just the difference now. That's where these teams are. If football doesn't get a grip at some point, these clubs are going to not just run away from everyone else, but create a just completely different, idea of what a squad is. But we've got to get to that point. I mean,
they'll be asking for 30-man squads next, won't they?
Of course they will. Because they'll be saying, well, we've got Champions League, and if you want us to keep it with PSR, we need to go far in the Champions League. And the only way we can do that is 30. Because that'll be the next trade-off. Won't it? Players will say we need to play less. And football clubs will just say, well, we need more players then. That'll be the trade-off. It ain't going to fix anything for clubs who haven't got the money.
No.
Of course it is.
Paul says, missed 20 games through injuries, no goals and no assists last season, so it'd be perfect for our midfield. But was a cracking player for Villa, so we have the Villa version. Yes, please. Jamie says, every story coming out the club is that no one is panicked and seeing it as a big opportunity to rebuild rather than it being a problem. Stephen Poynton says, not seen Barry play that much apart from the Euros. I just feel like we might have another Moyes Keane, all the potential, but doesn't end up being great.
That's the spirit.
But then, Stephen, what's the alternate? Who would you have gone for? Because there isn't any. When I look at it, there's not many around who you go, yeah, he's going to come in and be boss. You're going for potential. You're going to try and get someone in who's got that potential, who sort of explodes in that way. Moyes Keane coming into a very different club as well, and into a system that we weren't even really sure how to use him. And the manager didn't use him. He put him in and took him out. And Dom was trying to get in. He took him out. And Tosun was there at that time. And Marco, don't think was sort of convinced on the development of him. And we just never ever. And he was, don't get me wrong, he was raw as well, Moyes Keane, but he just didn't really get the goal.
COVID didn't help.
COVID didn't help. Don't forget, he scored his first goal, didn't he, against Newcastle with Carlo. Carlo had just come in, got his first goal, and it was all like, right, got an Italian manager now, and then COVID hit, and then it was all that happened, and it's just one of them, isn't it? It's the way it was for him, wasn't it?
It was a combination of factors, wasn't it? It was a combination of factors. Being left on his own in a house in Manchester and being young and being a bit stupid, and now he's grown up a little bit and he's doing brilliantly.
He's brilliant, yeah. Mendoza, the Maple Leaf Toffee, says Chelsea looking to offload Nkunku. How much would you pay for him? If we could sign him, where would you play him as a 9? He's not a 9. He ain't a 9. He's another number 10, like midfield. Where he was for Leipzig, break him from midfield or just playing off the strike, and he was brilliant. He was really, really good. He's a talented footballer.
Chelsea are selling the other lads at Arsenal, aren't they?
Madueke,
yeah. But they've got to, though, haven't they?
Yeah,
and if they're the only, like we've said this before, when you get to that level, there's only the other teams who are on that level who can, who. I mean, for him, he doesn't have to do anything. He just swaps clubs.
And he's in the Champions League.
And in the Champions League. So it's not a big
easy.
thing. It's something that happens in other countries all the time. You know.
Sterling's just gone there, hasn't he? On loan and all that. So they don't think they care, do they? Marlon says Douglas Luiz could be our new Alan. Definitely a starter with Ghana with the current players in midfield. No panic yet regarding transfers. Just need a constant flow of activity over the coming weeks. Plenty of business has been done so far, only a week into the new era starting. Yeah. Paul says we will get some great players in. We will also get in some...
Got some breaking news at 2 o'clock.
Again, it's not important.
How do you know?
Because I just know it isn't.
I think it is important.
Okay. We will get some great players in. We will also get in some that we might not all agree with. Come the start of the season, all will be good. It'll be fine. Deals evidently take time. Patience is the key. It'd be great to have 4 or 5 in, but we will get them up the Toffees.
Do you think it's important, James?
It's fun.
Yeah. See, so people, when you say that, people think...
You are really, really bad at this. You keep them on the hook.
I don't overpromise and underdeliver. That's my
matter.
thing. Does.
It's big news.
Mendoza says Kubo and the 2 wings. David Eo says, I'm predicting we'll sign up to 9 players by the 1st of September. Wouldn't surprise me. Robert Jones says, would you prefer Soleth or Ivanovic? Being linked with both this weekend. I hope we keep hold of Beto. I can see him scoring 15 plus goals this season if he plays. A full pre-season with Moyes will help him improve his weaknesses. Alexander Soleth, that was one yesterday as well. Atletico Madrid striker.
Yeah.
Villarreal scored
good player, good player.
In fact, he got 20 last season for Atletico.
Why are they selling him then?
Don't know. But he did play for Crystal Palace in the Premier League, and he was one of the worst.
That doesn't matter. We can't ever use that.
No, I'm just saying.
Players move,
that's
better,
just the thing,
develop. That doesn't matter.
He was poor at Palace, but that was a few years ago. Jake says, I think Everton have been burned by so many in the past, the likes of Fair, Danjuma, and you guys could probably name a load more, that they won't announce it until it's all completely done. Interviewing pitches done the Not a bad point at all. Jay Radcliffe says, I'm going to ruffle some feathers now. I feel at this moment in time we're sleepwalking into a dogfight again, which is totally avoidable. The lack of activity is a disgrace. Keane and Guy I'm on board with, but if Harrison is all we can come up with, questions need to be asked. Where's the links to pace, youth and goals? Burnley have signed Walker. Sunderland are making good signings, and we're wedded to players that have had us in the pits. I'm a Moyes man, but if this carries on, the honeymoon period could be about to cease.
Walker's 35 and looks done, and you're really going to use that as a comparison?
I would have had Kyle Walker. Just in fighting, but that doesn't mean I think he's amazing. If you were just looking at it, I still can't believe we haven't signed a left back, but obviously we had the Tagliafico stuff over the weekend saying
I'd rather not be linked to anybody. I'd rather Everton just getting their deal, the deal's just done.
I don't think we're sleepwalking into anything, Jay. I think everything David Moyes is doing will be planned to he knows exactly what he's doing. Sleepwalking is sort of assuming you should, everything's fine and you don't have to do anything. That's sleepwalking. Going, the team's fine, we're all right.
Yeah.
But that's not what Everton are doing. I don't believe anyway. Blue Boys says, I know it's only early in the transfer market, but I'm getting a bit worried that we haven't signed anyone. Okay. Eddie says, sign Richard Rios for 20 million. Looks really good in the Club World Cup. He is a good player, Richard Rios. James, just do that tally for us, mate, please. 20, what did he want? 25 million quid for him, 25. He's a good player, Colombian, international.
Yeah.
Let's be having, he says, all right, fellas, I'm not surprised at all how slow we seem to be moving in the transfer market, but we'll just have to give them the benefit of the doubt for now. See, the Grealish links have died down. I thought he was the type of player Moyes would have swerved in the past due to his character and party boy reputation. We'll take Luiz, but I reckon he'll go elsewhere. Well, Grealish, to me, was always one that had run and run. I don't believe anyone, bar Saudi Arabia, are paying £40 million for Jack Grealish or anywhere near it. I don't know whether anyone would buy him.
No.
Right now. Maybe a loan with an obligation or an option. So, I'm not surprised that that's gone a little bit quiet, because I always felt like it'd be the one that it'd just roll and roll with.
Yeah, because it's a lot of money.
Yeah. And they'd have to go. They'd have to sort of bend, wouldn't he? So, yeah. Artificial Intelligence EFC says, see, we've been linked with Lucas Ferreira and Wesley, 2 young Brazilian players. What are your thoughts about Everton looking more at the South American market? I believe it's a market we should be all over, personally, without a shadow of a doubt. The Wesley one, again, we spoke about it last week. What's mad is when John was explaining it the other day that Everton could buy him, loan him to Roma. Roma would pay Everton a loan fee and his wages, and Everton would be 2 million PSR plus, despite buying and owning the player, just because of the way it all works. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. And then there's a decision to make then at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's not for me though.
Do you call him back and then he's Everton's right back, or just sell him to Roma for 30 million? No.
I don't like the look.
Why though?
Because I just don't want to get involved in this stuff.
But that's what happens.
It shouldn't happen though. I think Everton and Roma shouldn't be doing that.
No, but it's a multi-club
and
thing.
It's not. Yeah, but it's not. It's not really a multi-club thing. It's not. We're not. We don't. It's. But it's not though. It's.
No, but it is.
It's two different clubs. Multi-club is more of an idea of the working with a centralised.
What do you think Liverpool will do when they buy?
Yeah, but that's different though.
It isn't different. No difference.
It is. I mean, it is completely different.
I mean, it's not.
No, it is, because that literally is a feeder club. That's
if you're still under the umbrella.
They're buying a feeder club. Everton and Roma aren't feeder clubs for each other and shouldn't be. The Friedkin group should buy another club in Spain where they have a club to facilitate that. I don't think Roma and Everton should be doing that. That's my personal opinion. I just don't think they should.
Okay. But that's what's being suggested. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But that's what's being suggested. I just found it interesting that you could buy the player and then be 2 million up, having spent 20 million. It's mad, isn't it, the way it works? Diego Luna, not sure, Fred Poole, whether he could do it in the Premier League. He's good to watch, but I'm just not sure, to be honest. Tink says, hi lads, great show and always, as always, very insightful. On a positive note, Everton are winning the FA Cup and the League Cup this season. What team would you like us to play in each final? You can't pick a championship side. Burnley in one, the Carabao Cup final, and Fulham in the FA Cup final. Fulham in the sun at Wembley. Be nice in May. Graham Lloyd says Sorloth would be massive. What is he? 6'3", 6'4". He'd be bigger than the others, would he? Eddie says David got his first job in Brazil. He's no longer under the Carlos shadow.
6'4". He's 6'4".
Sorloth, still smaller than Barry though and Beto, so not massive. Yeah, David Ancelotti. So who's he managing then? I mean, he's literally gone to Brazil, and his dad's the manager of Brazil. But I love it. He's gone to Botafogo. Can't be.
Oh yeah, they sacked the manager last week, didn't they?
Yeah.
Fair play. Big text there. Give him David a go.
On a bad day, wasn't
he? Mike Raff says, I've heard we're looking at Ned for right back. I don't believe that's right, that we'd look at Ned.
No,
don't think he's got the facilities.
No.
Don't think he's quick enough. But GA says we're halfway through July. Anyone backing this has no standards whatsoever.
Sad.
Okay. Tomo says people need to stop relying on sports journalists for information. Just because something hasn't been reported doesn't mean nothing is happening. Things can happen behind the scenes and deals could be close. Apparently we almost signed this fellows in Jan, but no one knew about this until the season was over. I mean, to be fair, Tomo, we all knew on deadline day because it was out there that Everton had approached West Brom and they were talking and fellows had agreed to come, and then Everton didn't, in all fairness. But you are right. Just because a sports journalist or Romano hasn't got hold of it doesn't mean things aren't very, very close. That's how I hope it is. That's how I hope. I'd love it. Imagine if we just got 3 o'clock, bang, breaking news. Yeah. Everton have agreed a deal to sign whoever. You know, I was going to say Douglas Luiz, but it's out there. But you know what I mean. It just came from nowhere, and we were like, oh, wow. That's a good, that's a great sign. Or even if it was Douglas Luiz, but it was done, Everton announced, you know what I mean? That kind of thing be great. I hope there's more of that, Tomo, to be honest. Kevin Maloney says, any Ben Doak rumours from the lads across the hall? They don't think Liverpool would sell him to Everton. But certainly not for less than about 40 million. And Everton shouldn't be going for even, a quarter of that, really. Graham Lloyd says, Massey Vavas in signing. Okay, Barry, Beto and Soloth as a forward line. Yeah. Imagine having those three strikers.
Bring them in for a corner.
And Chimity's 6'4" as well, isn't he? Dan W says, can we all relax a little bit by the perceived lack of action? Let Moyes cook. Think that's directed directly at you, Jay. Square on at you. But we all want stuff done, of course we do. Don't we? Because that, A, it gives us something concrete to talk about. But B, it does sort of calm everybody down if people are getting a little bit anxious. We want to build the excitement as the season comes, of course we do. But we don't know, do we? We'll see when we see, won't we? Really? Sophie says, how are the Redmen? Yeah, they're all right, Soph. They're still a little bit, I think they're still a little bit sort of lost in at what you do in a situation. Like what's happened with obviously the terrible news of Diogo Jota and stuff. So I don't know. I think they're a little bit, what happens? How do you even think about footy when something like that happens? It's really difficult, isn't it? I thought that was classy by Seamus going on Friday night. Out the way. Where are we? Would you take, this is a question, it's not me asking, Callum Wilson on a free from Newcastle?
I knew this would come up.
Oh yeah, it was always coming up today.
And it probably means Dom will end up at Newcastle, won't it, as well?
They've said that they're talking to him, isn't it? Which I find absolutely crazy that he's left it this long and isn't sorted, but fair play to him. Fair play to him. So go on, would you?
Not with his injury record, no. And I certainly wouldn't get him now because it would probably block the potential of other players coming in. But depends what they're looking for, isn't it? If they do fancy a more experienced centre forward who's
injured all the time,
but who's going to get a certain amount of games in a season and that sort of part of the thing, then maybe they would look at him. But I don't think it would be a priority right now. But of course, he will be linked with us because that's what happens.
Yeah. I think he'll end up at Leeds.
Maybe, yeah.
They need.
But wherever he goes, he'll
score a few.
He'll have to basically play the same thing. He can't be playing games of football because he can't survive. And he obviously will know that.
He got I think his minutes equated to 3.5 games last season.
Yeah, he's someone just bring on, isn't he? And what did he score?
1.
Did he? No, I think for him, because the thing about it is, if he went into the lower leagues, he wouldn't survive. He'd never be fit. So what would be the point? So surely for him, if someone offered him the chance to play for a Premier League team, and that was his position, then he'd have to take it, wouldn't he? Otherwise, he might as well just retire.
Danny, Liverpool have paid up his full contract. They had to sack him, didn't he? Because you get in the contracts like death in service, and then you get a fraction of it. So apparently they had to sack him and then paid the rest of the contract up to his wife over a certain amount of whatever the duration of the contract or something. So yeah, good, classy thing to do. As for Callum Wilson, it'd be a no from me simply because of his injury record. No,
yeah.
Robbie says, let's get Wilson in and with a worse injury record than Dom. Yeah. Someone, PJ said Callum Wilson. I'd rather have Wilson from Castaway.
Good.
But no, but it is a lazy link, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
of course we're going to get linked to them.
Because the thing with Moyes is he generally likes fit players, doesn't he?
It's an advantage.
So I'd find it weird if we got him If he'd have just played like, you see, this is the difference when people go like Dom's injury record, and you go, yeah, but he played 60 odd games in the last 2 seasons, so 61 games in the last 2 Premier League seasons. That's not injury prone.
Yeah, that's just getting an injury.
But Callum Wilson, is injury prone, so I'd find it a bit odd. But listen, so the manager will make the decisions, won't he? Tomo says, I don't mean it as if they don't know. They are linked to us more. The journos may not know how far being interested is with the players. We could be further down the line than what most journos think or know. Correct, absolutely correct, mate. And I think we'd all really be enthused, wouldn't we, if a signing just come out the blue. We'd all be like, it's brilliant the way we've done that, because Everton haven't really tended to do that. Alcaraz once sort of come out the blue, but it came out the blue, but it wasn't agreed. It was like Everton are close to agreeing. And listen, that might be the way it always is now. Maybe you can't just say
there's an industry,
sign the player because there's an industry, but let's hope we are sort of, when it comes out, we are so far down the line that it is literally the signing of a contract or a medical. He's there for him. Everton have agreed to deal with X and he's arriving for his medical tomorrow or tonight, whatever like that. And you go, my God, where did that come from? That'd be, I think everyone would love that. I think that'd really, really be exciting. El Tel on the banks of the Royal Blue Mares, he says we can't buy players with injuries or not enough game time. No, we can't. We can't. Because you've got to get the people in, haven't you? We're into pre-season now. I think they've actually started today. Testing was Friday, Saturday. It's underway today. They'll have had the first training session, so that would have been interesting. Game of 5-a-side.
Yeah, basically. Basically.
It would have been a bit interesting, but David Moyes will know that. David Moyes is not a shrinking violet.
No.
He's not someone who will sit there quietly. He knows, he understands it. So, let's see where we are. Sam McGuinness says, I'd rather be getting a championship player that's hungry to prove himself rather than a pass by the date striker. An unknown quantity like a Jared Bowen to burst on the scene and be incredible. I never thought Njai would have been as good as he was. The lad massively improved us. Huh? Yeah. That's what we want, don't we? We want some that come in and do the business. That's what we're looking for. And Everton may well have, I'm sure they have, tried to now adopt this sort of process of let's get so far, let's try to keep the circle tight, get so far down the line before it gets out. And when we know we're confident, we can get the deal done.
Just on that news,
go ahead.
Peter Reid and Fabio Capello will be the managers for the Everton versus Roma Legends game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. 5:15 kickoff after the first team's play. They are the managers. Only 2 players have been announced so far. Jags for us, with his Miami tan, and Candela for them. So there you go.
There you go.
James is putting that all on our socials right now.
Is it excited? Should we just have a look at Jags in the kit?
I don't know if James has got the facilities.
I think James has massively got the. There it is. Look at him. I mean, look at the kit. The kit is beautiful. And look at Jags looking sharp, hands on the hips, little bit of a spiky hairdo. Now imagine you just seeing Tieno Barry walking up behind him now.
Walking in behind.
Just like with that kit on, just going, Jags, great to meet you. I've always liked Everton since I've seen this image of you in Miami. In fact, this is what inspired me to holiday in Miami when I was just 10. Because of this.
Factual facts.
So it wouldn't have to be word perfect what I've said, but words to that effect, I think it'd be great.
In French.
If he wants, I don't know. Maybe Jags is fluent in French. I don't know. Who knows? Paddy says, hope there are signings in the background all going on. It's not nice to sit on the outside with nothing happening, but I'm sure we will have them sorted by the time we're playing Roma. There's no rush for the friendlies, really. You do want them in, though, don't you? You want them sort of integrated. You want them in with training with the lads. You want them on the plane to America because you want them when they're away. That's where they get really buy into everything, and you get more time with them explaining it. We've seen before players having to come in and the games have started and it like takes them a while. You want them in, and I think the manager will want them in, but we have to just go with it, won't we? Quite sure it is all going on. And I think the other thing as well to keep in mind, maybe for all of us, is this isn't a summer that we've had over the last few years either, where we've sort of known things had to happen before we could do something. Like a couple of years ago, we knew we didn't really have any money to spend, and then last year it was like we can only do something when we sell Onana, that kind of thing, isn't it? Or we had to sell Richarlison, then maybe we can do something. We're here now with the uplift better. We've got more money.
I think the other side of it is, this is something I alluded to last week, is it's because the club's quiet as well. So there's no one spoke to Moyes since basically when he got the his OBE, and also obviously since after the Newcastle game. So no one spoke to him since. So maybe we get the first one and people can start asking him questions. You know, Everton haven't interviewed him. I would love, as I mentioned last week, for him or Angus Kinnear to do like an interview just about what their hopes are for the summer, about what we're looking to do, and just sort of take that, because obviously just looking at the comments, people will be a little bit panicked. No one's got patience, and I understand why nobody's got patience. I really do, and I would never go at anyone for, you know, being a little bit worried about the situation. But this is where I think good communications from the club are really important, to step in and see what's happening and go, right, because surely as a communications at a football club has to be about the whole thing, and has to be about the general feeling around the football club. And I think if you can put an interview out day one of pre-season, speaking to them, I haven't seen the manager on a picture yet.
No.
There's just little thing. It's just like a little mentality thing, isn't it? I've just seen the manager on a picture, or then just doing an interview with the manager first day of pre-season. Some hopes for pre-season, and just fill, as we always say, the void.
Yeah,
fill the void. That
I'd have him on the right wing.
Yeah, fill the void. He's good. He's like Phil McCann. Remember Phil McCann who went to the petrol stations. Just fill that void of talking to the fans and the expectations and what they hope for this summer in a rounded way. And listen, there's no pitchforks, or anything like that, but it just keeps that sense of, you know, you go to a manager, you can go, well, you've got Branthwaite over the line. You know, you're doing a couple of days, and you got Seamus over the line, you got Michael Keane over the line, you got Jessica Gay over the line. What's next? Well, we need this and we need that, and we're working hard behind the scenes and blah blah blah. And I do think that just gives everyone that sense of that people are in control. It's not, there's no you know, there's an idea, there's a sense that something is going on. I do think those things are important. I really do. I think at this time of the year, when if there was a Euros or a World Cup on, we wouldn't be having these conversations, because we'd all be distracted. They haven't signed no, there's a game on at 2 o'clock. But there isn't, and it does. Every day feels like a bit of a chain of Everton signed and no, they haven't signed. Every day there's a chain, and I get it. People get bored. There's no footy. Yeah. People get bored.
But you'd also, I think, want to feel like progress has been made.
Yeah, of course, and that's what I'm saying.
That's what you want.
That's what I'm saying. And if the manager or Angus Kinnear come out and just speak to that, I do think that is important. I think okay, listen, don't get me wrong, you don't see everyone doing it, clubs doing it, but I do think it helps.
Yeah, fair enough. Patrick Hanlon, YouTube member, thank you very much, mate, for doing that. So we'll see what happens, Interesting times ahead. Just seen Trossard mentioned, would you have had him?
I heard Trossard linked with us months ago.
I'm saying, would you have him?
Yeah, he's really good, apart from he looks like a sickly little boy. He really does, doesn't he? He does look like a sick... No, I mean, he looks like sickly.
Okay.
He's like grey, and then he dyed his hair grey, and he just looked sick all the time.
Okay.
But I think he's a good player.
He's a good player.
His goals are just like he scored. I mean, if I was Arsenal, there's no chance I'd sell him.
No.
Because he always pops up with a goal.
Always.
He's one of those players. If I was City, I'd buy him.
Johnny says, can people stop saying PSR is a thing of the past? We can't spend as much as we want. We still have to be careful about how much we spend and who we spend it on. It has sort of, it is altering this year though, Johnny. But you're right, we haven't just got tons of money.
No,
there's still a pot of money that we have to spend, but we do have way more headroom than we've had for years. But you're right, we have to have that caution. Can't just give players what they want either, can we? Do you know what I mean? So let's hope it's better. Let's do it. JS, we're just going to finish now, but says, do you think this fear we have about information not being leaked until we're very far along in the deal stems from the knock-on effects of the last few seasons after the long-lasting damage to Everton? Well, I don't know whether there's a fear about information not being leaked. Why should we leak information?
Isn't it just best practice?
Yeah, you shouldn't be leaking information. Because what happens is, right, you leak information so it gets out right at the very start of the deal. And then it goes along like this Tierno Barry one. Yeah. And people start going, why is it taking so long? We're a joke. We're pathetic, this club. We do this, we do that. When other clubs keep it locked in for as long as they can. And then it seems like, I see it in the comments all the time. Why does it take us weeks to sign a player and it only takes other clubs 2 days? It's like, because them other clubs don't leak everything. Don't have people on the inside who are told not to leak it, still telling the mates or still telling, Fab Romano, or if it's an agent, you meet the agent and go, we want your player. Do not be leaking this information. So we can't sort of have it both ways, I don't think. And I'd rather it be quiet until and announce when we sign the player, personally. If you'd rather know right at the very start of it, and then it drags on for 3 or 4 weeks, because that's how long these things take. Got to work out payments. Payments to clubs, the structure of them payments, payments to player. Do you agree with the image rights, what they want? Agents' fees. What about the wages? How does that work? And you're juggling if you haven't watched the Inside the Game, Stephen Schumacher, go and watch it. Current football manager, Bolton Wanderers manager, but he talks about like signing a player and how big the process is. Yeah. And you've got that going on for 4. Everton have got that whole process going on for 9 players, which is what the manager wants.
Plates.
So they're everywhere. And you're trying to do it. So it will. I'm not making excuses because I want them done. But it makes it more difficult. It can't just be like that, can it? So therefore, if you can keep the information tight, till for as long as you possibly can, then not only does it come out when the deal's almost done, it doesn't cause the fans any anxiety because you just get it, and then but it also is a sign of progress. I don't know whether let's just see how far you can. Scholar says people think Everton drag on transfers. And Bumo had decided to join United at the start of last month, and they're still negotiating. Yeah, that's it. Look at that. The Mbumo one. That was going on when I was in Gran Canaria. It was done.
It's because the simple fact is, it's because there's a few teams who've got the power and the finances to get deals done in 2 days, and everyone else doesn't.
Those deals have been going on though.
But everyone else doesn't though.
But United.
No, but they haven't though.
But
so
a lot
I'm
of
talking about Chelsea, I'm talking about Liverpool, I'm talking about Manchester City. They've got the power to rock up.
Yeah, but look at Liverpool with Florian Wirtz. That dragged on and on. He was going to Madrid, then he was staying at Leverkusen, then he was going back to Liverpool, then it was off again, then it was on again. And even when they said it's all done, it was another 10 days before they actually done the deal. So if you look at that one, and that's them champions with a player that wanted to go there, it took quite a while to get that deal done.
Yeah, but it never felt like it wasn't happening simply because the confidence people have in them doing deals,
Well,
isn't
of course, but if you actually step back, you were going,
Yeah, it's
actually,
okay,
is he going to Madrid now, or what's happening? I coming in, these were going, thought we were getting him, I don't know now, I think he might go to Madrid, and these are seeing it all the time.
Same with that Zubimendi.
And look at Zubimendi with Arsenal, that was done in January, it's all agreed, he's signing. Has he signed yet?
Yeah, he did.
The other day, wasn't it? And I know it was the day. But what I mean is that was done in January. It's all done. The easiest deal we'll do. Got done the other day. So, it's frustrating, isn't it, of course, because we all want deals done, but I don't quite think it's just Everton. You know, we're terrible at signing players. You know, maybe you can have a spell where there's a regime in charge and they seem to take, but even that would be probably being unfair on those people as well. Going, well, it isn't as easy as what you think. Who knows? But let's just see what happens. Chris, the Toffee, says, why buy someone now instead of 5 weeks down the line, save $500,000 on wages? I think you do want players in when you can, but we'll see. And where me, you're right, agents are just as bad. And agents will contact Everton and go, yeah, the Everton are interested in this player. And you're like, you know, you'd have David Moyes or you'd have Angus Kinnear right now going, man, we're not interested in him at all. Well, where's this come from? But it's Everton every day. And it's like, no, you know. Because you take a phone call from an agent about a player and you might go, well...
And then he rings up people.
Exactly.
And says, I've spoke to Everton about the player. Well, he has just spoke to Everton about the player. Doesn't mean he's signing him.
Or Everton could go, what's the terms? Like, what's the terms of it? Of the deal? You know, and then it'll go, Everton have asked for the conditions of the deal. It's like, yeah, because they're just saying, like, well, he's available for how much? You know, he might be on our consideration list if it works. Yeah. So, right, the last three here. Robert says, spot on, Ped. Little bit of communication from the club would calm my nerves and probably that of others. Just a quick interview explaining the positions we're looking to fill. Don't know whether you'd get David Moyes saying we need a winger or
the process. The process of the summer.
Paul Davies says, I agree, Ped. Trossard looks like he needs an iron supplement.
He does.
But Arsenal are very hot on the supplements, so maybe. And Barry says, if Everton are confident in their processes, should they really care about how the fan base are feeling at this point? I'm thinking their attitude will be judges at the end.
You always have to feel about what because how the fan base feels is really important, because the fan base has to buy in. It's a knock-on effect. Fan base has to feel good, positive, because the positivity leads to other things.
I do feel, though,
unconsciously,
if we spoke to someone, they would go, care about the fans. At the end of the day, we have to do our job.
They should.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, but how would that?
Because but they don't. They don't have to give anything away. You just talk about the process. You talk about how big a summer is. The manager can sit down for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's a big knock-on. Fans feel positive. It's a knock-on effect. I know it doesn't matter now because the tickets are out for the Roma game. I totally forgot. I had to get them this morning. Didn't get me seats. But it can be a knock-on effect. Fans might go, I'm not buying a ticket for that. I know they won't this summer. There'll be people buy them. But it's a knock-on effect. It could be, I was going to buy the new kit. I'll wait and see. Wait and see who they buy first. You want to keep everyone positive and happy and going with it. And as I said, it can be a knock-on effect because every day.
I'm just saying I don't know whether the club would go, let's buy that player because the fans aren't happy.
No, I'm not saying that though. What I'm saying is though, you just get the manager and you just say, first day, what's it just like?
Say, we've got the players back. We're happy with Jared's cont. We've got Jared side down. We're happy with that. Seamus has agreed to stay. That's really positive. We got Michael Keane to stay because we like his experience, and we're working hard.
And we're in the midst of the hard work of bringing people in. And you know what?
That's all it is.
That's all it is. It's just filling the void. That's all it is. That's all communication.
Because Moyes could go, well, we've signed Charlie Alcaraz. We've got Jared Brandtwaite on a 5-year deal. Seamus has agreed to stay. Michael Keane's been kept because of blah, blah, blah. And now, like you just said, we're working on this, and we're building up to our, as well as working on that, we're getting the players ready, and we're off to America.
But think about it, is that's all communication ever is.
Yeah,
you know, at the end of a match when a manager has to talk, and he might
he's not telling you what he wants to say, is he?
You know, that's all it is. Now from next season, they're having half-time interviews, they're having more training stuff. The managers are going to, there's going to be worse and worse. It's going to be worse and worse because people are desperate for not only to hear the thoughts of a manager, but to hear the thoughts of a manager when they're sort of off balance, emotional about the situation. And that's why communication is always hugely important.
Let me just address this before we go. David Murphy says, come on, Baz, we've been the worst purchasers of player ever. What's David Prentice up to these days? Last time I heard he was under the way. Well, I don't know what David Prentice has got to do with it, because as far as I'm concerned, I've never heard of him buying an Everton player. So let's park him over there, right?
And Bill Kenwright very much isn't here.
The worst purchases of players ever. Everton haven't been great. It's seemingly at buying players at times. Sometimes they've done a really good deal. Other times they haven't. What I'm saying, David, is if we still had the same regime, I wouldn't be saying anything to the contrary of what you've said. I'd be frustrated as well. But what me and Ped have been saying is this is a new regime, isn't it? We've got new owners. We've got the new manager in place. We've also got a new recruitment team and a new CEO in place. So right now, there's no evidence. You can't... I can't say to you, it's going to be better, David. I can't, because I don't know. But you can't say to me, it's just going to be the same as it's always been.
It's kind of
because we don't know, do we? Well, we will know in September. We can look and go, well, that looks better, or we were still a bit rubbish at that, weren't we? Historically, that we haven't been great, and we know that. But this summer, we've got more headroom than we've had for a number of years. Which is a positive. We've got a manager who knows what he wants, which is a huge positive. Oh, and also cares about the club, which is quite important. And also believes where the club should be, which is near the top, which again is quite important. And therefore, you'd hope that things will be better. But right now, there's no evidence that Everton are going to act like previous regimes. That's all I'm saying. It's frustrating. Trust me, mate, doing this job, I want Everton signing players every day or every couple of days. And we can do videos on what they're going to bring to the team and what they've done so far and have a chat about them, rather than it's just being links. That's what I want. But right now, I can't say with any certainty that nothing's changed at Everton or everything's changed at Everton. Because we won't know. So what I'm choosing to try to do is get behind the manager and the CEO and the recruitment team and go, no, I think we know what we're doing, because we've got a bit more money. We haven't got to sell this person to buy that person. And we've got owners who want to drive this football club forward. So I'm trying to err on the side, a more positive side, fair play. But I just don't think we can go, because we've been rubbish at buying players in the past, we're rubbish now. I just don't believe it. And I don't believe we've been as bad as what people have said at times as well. Some windows we have. You'll have seen me on here, mate. I just think things do take longer, but hopefully we do start buying players.
It's also the 7th of July.
Yeah. No, I am not telling anyone how they should be feeling at all. I'm just hoping we do start bringing players in, because I do feel a bit like, let's just start the process. But I am also aware that it's the 7th of July and all of those things I've just said. There's a new team in place and all of that. So we've got to just go, right, let's just bear with and see what they do. And hopefully we're all sitting here going, oh my God, it's miles better than it used to be. Wasn't that a really good window? And we all feel confident. But we all, as James Graham says, we should all be made up. Jarrod Branthwaite signed a new deal. A lot of people thought he was going. A lot of people had him gone last year, even when we were saying Everton won't sell him. We've been told they're not. People were like, they're selling him. I know they're selling him. Me mate's dog.
Someone told me the other day, even though he'd signed the contract, that they still thought he was going.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it, isn't it? John McCulloch says, we could sign Messi and some of our fans would still moan. He scored 2 crackers at the weekend, to be fair to him. Right, we're done. Thank you very much. Thank you. Craig Faber says, well said, Baz, the voice of reason. Also says, Chelsea's new kit is amazing looking. Forest have bought Igor Jesus from the Club World Cup. Is there any Club World Cup players you like? Chelsea look like they're selling.
That Garcia from Real Madrid.
He's not bad, is he? He's the shock of the tournament. He's been brilliant, hasn't he, Garcia? Because he was saying he was one they just took because they had a few injuries and they were like, well, he's quite bright in training. He's come in and been unbelievable, hasn't he, for them?
Top goal scorer, isn't he?
Fair play to him. Well, at that ends it. Get him on, though. Try him.
Well, the other lad's available, isn't he? Rodrigo? Not saying we'd get him, but I'm saying he is actually available.
Liverpool want him, don't they? He'd be a good
Arsenal
player.
want him,
Arsenal want. Yeah, I think he might go to Arsenal.
And then Arsenal can sell us Trossard, and then we can get him on the vitamins, and he'll look vitamins, spray tan,
like Jack.
Send them to Turkey for everything, and yeah, announce him with
Send them
Jags.
to Miami. Go to Miami.
It's expensive, Miami, though. I imagine to get your hair done. Turkey's the place, isn't it?
Yeah. Does he need it? Trossard's got great hair.
We can always get better hair, Baz. Always.
Okay.
That's what James tells me every day when he comes in.
He does say that, to be fair.
Loves it. But the good news is, the major transfer story of the weekend
Go on.
is the links to James and a new bin.
I sent that to me.
That was a huge transfer.
Huge
Break. We
news,
should have
that,
had that.
That's huge news. That
the bar across the bottom.
the reports are in the Sefton area that they are getting their own bins. Many of you won't know this, that James basically has to go on adverts on ITV4 of a daytime asking for £2 a month for bins for Bool. And
BFB.
It sounds like his words.
Pleas have been
heard. And the talk is that it's a major milestone for the Metro Mayor. Say that 3 times fast. That forget your train stations, forget trying to get the airport. Sefton are getting bins.
Are you excited, James?
Can't contain it.
Yeah, it looks like it. I think James Graham says it best when he says, get Trossard on the Hello Fresh. Well, I'd say get him on the Huel. Because Ped gets up in the morning and he runs down the he can't wait to get his.
I've got a story from last night. Do you want to hear it? Basically, Batman last night. Batman foiled a crime last night, 2:30 in the morning. House behind us, someone trying to smash the windows.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, me and Batman, we share our working hours, don't we? Me and Batman.
Okay.
So basically, some fella trying to smash his way into a house. Boom.
But people really smash their way into the house.
Trying to smash their way into the house.
Right.
Get on the blower, get the fellas down. Get on the floor. It was Boss watching it live. Get on the floor, dickhead. Hands in. That's what the busy shouted at him.
And what was he saying?
What was weird was, all I could hear was this banging. And the busies came with the lights. And the fella was literally just like there. Like right in front of me. Luckily, he didn't see me face because I was wearing my Batman mask, obviously. And So it was like that safety glass.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't get through it.
But what was this like? Why is he smashed?
I believe I was listening because it kept, got me ear to the ground. Yeah. And I think he might have been like some kind of like jilted lover, which makes it worse because it wasn't burglary. He was trying to get into the girl.
Oh, that's not
so she apparently she was away. I even heard she was in Egypt. I was listening. This is how close they were. This is literally how close they were. Oh, yeah. So she was in Egypt and he was trying to get into the house. So God knows what he was trying to do. But the police, to be fair, the police were really quick. Really quick. Came, got him straight in the handcuffs, arrested him in the back of the car, and had a little out this morning. All the windows, all it's like the glass, tremendous stuff.
Toughened safety glass.
They are Liverpool council houses, so.
But toughened safety glass is good.
So essentially, me and Batman on the same page. But the only offside of that is could I sleep? Could I bollocks? So I'm knackered because I just couldn't get to sleep. I was so.
It's the price of solving crime.
It is the price. What can you do?
Selfless, Pet.
That's why Batman doesn't get up for hours and hours and hours. Now we all know.
You can't get up, a bit like you. Right, see you later. Bye.